Hello, welcome back. GovDoc Breakdown, no opinions, just facts and summaries of government documents, and you take it from there. June 5th, Supreme Court opinion, Devas v. Antrix. All right, we have some entities from the country of India in today's breakdown. We are dealing with Devas Multimedia, a private Indian company, and Antrix Corporation, a company owned and controlled by the Indian government, part of India's space program. In 2005, Antrix and Devas signed a contract saying that Antrix would launch satellites and lease part of their capacity to Devas for media and internet services across India. However, in 2011, the Indian government decided to reserve more of that satellite space for itself and told Antrix to cancel the contract with Devas, which they did, citing a clause that allowed cancellation under extraordinary circumstances. Devas basically said, whoa, that's not cool, and took the dispute to arbitration. And the arbitrators agreed with Devas, awarding them $562.5 million plus interest. And this is where we get to the U.S. part of the story, which I did not know was a thing. Devas asked a federal court in Washington to confirm the arbitration award to help enforce payment from the Indian government. The district court in Washington did just that and issued a $1.29 billion judgment against Antrix. Antrix appealed this decision to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, who overturned the ruling, saying that the U.S. courts lacked personal jurisdiction over Antrix since it's an Indian company. Basically saying that the U.S. has no legal authority to rule over Antrix because they did not have minimum contacts with the U.S., basically saying they didn't have business operations or other ties to the U.S. directly. And this is where we get to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court basically said that the Court of Appeals was not interpreting the law correctly in a unanimous decision. The law in this case being the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act, which says personal jurisdiction exists over a foreign state when two things happen. One, an exception to immunity applies, like the arbitration award exception in this case, and the foreign entity is properly served with legal notice. So, the circuit court saying that Devas had to prove minimum contacts with the U.S. was just wrong. The way we can think about this is that the law created by Congress had two requirements, and the Ninth Circuit added a third requirement with the minimum contacts rule. The Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. Separation of powers. Congress made the law, and if Congress wanted there to be another requirement, they would have spelled that out in the law. So the case now goes back to the Circuit Court, which must accept that the minimum contacts rule is not required for jurisdiction. All right, Kaimo, keep your mind open, do your own research, form your own opinion. See you in a little bit.